So here we are at the beginning of the year talking about Caliban. And by my hopefully he gets some buffs comment, you can probably assume he's not so great. Caliban's real.
Hey all, welcome back to the channel and thank you for clicking on the video. We're going to be talking about Caliban, probably the most forgotten Warframe ever released. He has been bad for a very long time. He's actually never been good. But now, after the Abyss of Dagoth update, shield gating and shields in general are just way better than they've ever been. And I wanted to revisit a frame that actually takes shields very seriously in consideration with its build. And so Caliban deserves a second chance, and I think after this update, he is actually a very good frame to run regularly. So now they're dead, and you'll just kind of see, look at the little regen there. I'm just kind of running around. Look how fast that regen was. So let's talk about the build. Caliban is a shield-centric warframe, much like Hildren. And like Hildren, they both have an armor strip. But first I want to talk about his abilities. So I took off his first one because his first ability is terrible and you'll never use it for any build ever unless it gets a extremely good augment. So I went ahead and put Nourish because Nourish, as you know, provides substantially more utility, and it's centered around energy regen, some status damage, and soft crowd control. His next two abilities also have great crowd control. Sentient Wrath is kind of like Rhino's Stomp. It applies a nice damage vulnerability to the enemies, and it is scaled off strength and range. And what's cool about this one is it does travel around 360 degrees around you. And then his third ability is the most important ability for this build. So after the Abyss of Dagoth update, shields and shield gating received a large overhaul, which I did showcase in the intro, but to reiterate, before you were capped at 1.3 seconds of invulnerability after your shields broke. That required you to have like brief respite and a decaying dragon key and all this, that, and the other. So they got rid of all that, and now shield gating scales off of how many shields you have. And the new cap is 2.5 seconds, which is more than before, almost double. And the cap is 1150 shields. Now with this build, you are going to be hitting 2,273 shields. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's way above cap. There's no point in having that much because you can only have so much shields to get so much time. And you are right, you don't have to have that much. But the cool thing that they also changed with the shield gating and shields is shield damage reduction. So before, your shields were having 25% damage reduction, now it's 50%, which is really huge when you combine it with something like adaptation and obviously Arcane Aegis, which we'll touch on in a second. But basically what that means is the more shields you have, the more health your shields have, sort of like EHP with health and armor. And so when you combine all these shield changes with, you know, like the new mod, Fast Deflection, give yourself more shields with Boreal's Hatred, Arcane Aegis, things like that, and then of course his third ability, you're just getting so much DR, shield regen, and normal DR as well. And it's honestly crazy. That's why I wanted to make this video. But just to reiterate, you're almost basically invincible when you combine it with all of that on top of the invulnerability you get when your shields do eventually break or possibly break. It's really, really nice, and I think it's really helped Caliban a lot, and we're gonna take a look at this against some tough enemies here in a second. But I want to keep talking about the build here. And finally, his fourth ability, Fusion Strike, is a big AoE armor strip. What's cool about this ability is it does affect acolytes, and it also is scaling off of strength, range, efficiency, and duration. So if you have a little bit of duration, that armor strip's going to last a little bit longer. And then for strength, you need at least 200%. Now, one thing that is rough with this build is you will absolutely need a red Archon Shard strength. Otherwise, with this build and without it, you'll only be at 199%, which is not enough for a full armor strip. So Umbral Intensify and Transient Fortitude is not enough. I did not want to put Blind Rage in here because his abilities are so expensive. As you'll see here, I'll throw it in for just a second. If you look at, even with 60 efficiency and you're getting 15 from Boreal's Hatred, it's a whopping 140 energy. That is not worth it in my opinion. I do have 190, but I am also getting 100 energy from the blue Archon Shards, which is why you don't see Prime Flow in this build. So again, you do not want to have Blind Rage in there. You do want to have Transient Fortitude. It's going to make for a much better experience. As far as the other mods, Prime Sure-Footed, Sprint Boost. I like to play Caliban and frames in general very fast. And he's actually a quite fast frame already at 1.5 is you know, among some of the faster frames. Augur Reach, again, we're, you know, buying into that shield regen fantasy. Again, with no Prime Flow, Arcane Energize is going to kind of save you from that. Now, if you don't have Arcane Energize, it is very expensive right now. I think I paid like 2,000 plat for it or something, and this is console prices, so don't rip me a new one in the comment section. But possibly with the Plague Star coming back here on November 7th, 2023, it is possible that they might bring this Arcane back with Plague Star so that you can farm it. I'm hoping for it. So take a, you know, look out for that. But again, if you don't have Arcane Energize, then I would probably take out Natural Talent and put Prime Flow in. That'll kind of offset the difficulty and upkeeping your energy. Even with Nourish, you do want to keep your Lethal Progenies up and Armor Strip and put some CC and damage vulnerability. He is kind of ability heavy, so it is possible that you may want to put Prime Flow in instead. It's honestly preference. So I am going to just spawn my favorite enemy, the Corrupted Heavy Gunners. We're going to make them Steel Path level 190. We're not going to pause them at all. And we are just going to spawn all three, apply Nourish, and you'll just kind of see how fast you regen before they can really do anything. You've got good CC with Nourish, as well as your little Sentients running around. But they are shooting me. They are getting staggered. They also take a little bit of aggro, which is kind of nice, which also, again, just helps you with regenning and upkeeping your shields in general. But eventually, when they do run out, you'll see just kind of how great this regen is with Aegis and the fast deflection. So now they're dead, and you'll just kind of see, look at the little regen there. I'm just kind of running around. Look how fast that regen was. And the DR, of course, is really, really nice. But they don't have enough damage to put you down quick enough. Now, we actually haven't even procced the shield gate yet, but here we'll go in a second. So that's 2.5 seconds, and I died. But as you see, 2.5 seconds, even if I did nothing, I'd have to really, you know, be negligent. But it's really, really hard to die with this build. But you do have 2.5 seconds of shield gating, which makes Caliban a really, really fun frame to play now. If you're into shield gating, you're into endurance runs, he can do it. He can really do it. He comes with his own armor strip. And one thing about the armor strip is you never want to shoot it at the enemy. You want to shoot it at the ground, because you can, for some reason, miss. If you aim it right at them, it like goofs up for some reason. So always shoot it at their feet. And again, it's AoE, 39 meters with this build. So you'll get some really nice armor stripping. And of course, you can apply his second ability, more CC, allow them to take more damage. Again, Caliban is awesome now. Pump those shields up, baby. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We're doing the outro a little bit differently here. I'm just going to chat and show you the fashion for Caliban here. I get asked about my fashion pretty regularly throughout my videos, so we're just going to kind of showcase it while I talk. This video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but given the fact that so much came out with the Abyss of Dagoth update, I wanted to be thorough and just kind of give a good overview exactly why this build is good, and exactly why you should be playing Caliban moving forward. So as far as other ways to take this build to the next level, I'm gonna leave that up to you guys in the comments. You guys always have really good opinions and recommendations, so I look forward to reading your comments. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, and if you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. I upload Warframe content pretty regularly, and I do it for fun, so everything I say is just an opinion or whatever. But we did actually just hit 2,000 subs, so I left a community note talking about that, but I really wanted to thank you guys again publicly on a video. It means a lot to me, and I didn't think I'd hit 2K, but it's pretty awesome. So I look forward to continuing to update videos for you guys about the Warframe changes and things like that. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.